What's going on, you guys? Graham GSM Matthews here. Hope you guys are doing well. It's been nothing short of a newsworthy week for the world of wrestling in the past 7 days or so for WWE, TNA especially, Impact Wrestling, whatever the hell you want to call them, and everything else going on in just wrestling right now. I couldn't delay my thoughts on this any longer. I needed to get them out there. Usually I would save this type of thing for Wrestle Rant Radio, hashtag AskGSM, the random video blog. I was very fired up on Thursday when I read the spoilers, which says a lot in and of itself. I do not typically read spoilers for anything. Anyone who knows me well enough knows I fucking hate spoilers for wrestling, movies, shows, anything. But I went out of my way to read the spoilers for the upcoming... I knew I was going to find out anyway. I mean, this kind of shit does not stay quiet for long. When people tweet all about it on Twitter and shit, I'm not going to avoid it, so I might as well just fucking read it. And it's really the first time in quite some time I've been actively reading the spoilers for Impact. Like, going out of my way to read the spoilers. Because they taped their next set of shows on Thursday night. They taped a few more matches tonight on Friday. This should be going up on Saturday. So I think they're going to be recording more shows in like the days to come. Like Saturday, Sunday. I'm not sure how many days they're going to be taping for. And how many months they'll be taping TV for. But, wow, I figured we would talk TNA. It's not very often I'll talk TNA here on the show, here on the channel, whatever. And typically, whenever I do, it's not positive stuff. And I hate to say that just because the two times I went to a TNA show, and I've been watching TNA nonstop. Okay, that's a lie. I've been watching since 2008, but not nonstop. I did stop for a time in like late 2009 throughout most of 2010. Which is kind of weird because when they had their first real reboot in that time, it was around 2010 when Hogan came in and Bischoff came in and people really thought they would be a true contender to WWE, be a true competitor, a true alternative to WWE. And it really wasn't. People thought it would be going in with the whole Monday Night Wars, brother, and that went fucking nowhere and that died a death. But anyway, so yeah, other than that one period of time, like at that time I did not have DVR and I just... Because Impact was on Raw, like on Mondays, I think I went back and forth between Raw and Impact that night on January 4th, 2010. But other than that, I did not have DVR. I did not watch Impact at that time. I really could not care less. So I only watched Raw, and I just fell out of TNA until like late 2010 when they had the fucking Immortal shit, and that went nowhere, and Fortune, which was great. But for every good thing that TNA has done in the past 8-9 years, I think it is almost officially at this point, in the time I've been watching, they take two steps backwards. And after what I read on Thursday, and I will preface this audio, and I'll mention it in the title too, I will talk about spoilers. Like I said, I don't typically talk about spoilers, but I will here today. Because there's a lot to what I'll be ranting about in today's video, or discussing, whatever. I was a lot more fired up on Thursday than I am right now. Let me say that much. It's just, I went from being angry and like literally saying what the fuck to my computer like a number of times to my laptop in the past 24 hours, reading shit that either was supposed to happen on Impact the past couple days or is going to happen. Matt Morgan, of all things, again, this is going to be going up on Saturday. Maybe he already came back. He should be coming up. He should be returning to TNA anytime the next couple days in Orlando. Because he himself has been teasing on various platforms he will be back on televised wrestling. And WWE wasn't going to take him back. The guy has not been in that company for over a fucking decade. His time is well past. Like, I was looking forward to seeing Matt Morgan back in WWE, hopefully, like 5 years ago or so, when his contract first expired with the company, and then he came back, and it's like, oh my god, Matt Morgan could have been a star 10 years ago. And I had a whole Twitter conversation with a fucking guy 2 or 3 years ago when I wrote a whole Push to Punish article about him. I don't want to go on a whole rant about Matt Morgan, but the point I'm trying to make is that I think he's 40 years old. His time is gone. The guy, I don't know if he could still go in the ring. I could have said the same thing about Bobby Lashley when he came back a couple years ago, and he ended up becoming one of the best things to happen to TNA in the past 3 or 4 years. But it's like Matt Morgan was not that great to begin with. He could have been a star. The company fucked up multiple times. Like, they had this very good thing going with him, with Kurt Angle and the Main Event Mafia, if you remember that, in late 2009, 2010. They fucked that up. He had one of the worst matches in recent years with Sting. I'll never forget it. In May of 2013. Fucking blew. The guy's career was over after that. He was done. The writing was on the wall for the guy after that. And he left in like 2014, whenever it might have been. He was good. He was gone from the company not long after that. But anyway, so he'll be back soon. Aaron Magnus might be back soon. That makes me sad, just because I love Magnus, and I really hope he would just go to WWE. Because he was there once before, and I know he kind of fell out of favor with the company after Jarrett left, because they're like best buddies or something. But it's like, and unless they're going to use him right, just, oh man. Like, I also read Bully Ray was supposed to be back at the tapings this past week. And basically what happened, the star they ended up bringing in, their big spoiler, their big name, was fucking Alberto Del Rio. Alberto El Patron, who I loved in Lucha Underground. And initially when he came back to WWE about a year and a half ago, I was like, okay, not really something I was interested in seeing. We've seen this before, him and Cena, him and fucking Sheamus, I've seen this shit like a million times. Him and Swagger, God forbid. Oh my God. If Swagger does indeed leave the WWE and go to TNA and we see another fucking series of matches between those two blokes, oh my God, shoot me now. That would be absolutely awful. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that Del Rio I thought was great, like in Lucha Underground. But reportedly the reason he left was because they weren't pushing him. The guy has such an ego on him, and he's a very good worker, don't get me wrong, and I think he should have been used better in WWE both times, but specifically the second time around when they really wasted money on the guy for no reason, and he left. Thank God, about 6 months ago, because they were doing next to nothing with the guy. But really, it was a waste of his time, it was a waste of our time. I mean, it's cool he's in TNA, you get a couple fresh matchups, but it's like, you let the Hardys go. You let Drew Galloway go. You let Mike Bennett go. And Mike Bennett's a guy that's been there only a year. A pet project, who they pushed to the moon from night one as the Miracle with Maria. Those two were the biggest focal points on that television show for God knows how many months last year. And I love Maria. I love Bennett. I love the package deal. But they went nowhere. Maria was still a big part of that program when she left the company about a couple days ago. She was in the main event of the show like 2 weeks ago, a fucking week ago. A part of the main event wedding with Allie and Braxton Sutter. She played her bitch role very, very well. Bennett barely got his just due in the company. They were just starting to get him hot in the feud with EC3. They pulled the plug on his push, and he hasn't been the same since, and they just let him walk. And that was basically what happened. Now, with Jeff Jarrett back and Dutch Mantell, the guy's got a great mind for the business. Jeff Jarrett is a fucking, I don't want to say a cancer to TNA, but it's like, because he created TNA, but it's like, oh my God, the more things change, the more they stay the same. It's like the real mantra for TNA, Impact Wrestling. I had heard that they ditched the TNA name finally at the tapings this past week, and that's great. I'm happy, I'm ecstatic, they're finally moving away from those god-awful initials. But it's like, the damage has been done. How many fucking reboots, and I said this on Twitter a couple days ago, how many fucking reboots of TNA have we had in the past 10 years alone? Let's count the ways. We had the old Hogan-Bischoff regime in early 2010, which died a death, like I said. That did not last long whatsoever. Did much more damage to TNA than anything else. So that was one. The following year, we had Impact Wrestling, where wrestling matters, right? Where wrestling matters. And Hogan was in the main event, and Sting was in the main event with Ric Flair, which was fucking terrible. So that was a failed reboot, and when Mick Foley was brought back as like the network executive or some stupid shit like that, and that went nowhere. That went absolutely nowhere. It was all about wrestling matters, and they brought back the old ECW guys because that was a huge success the first time. But anyway, so that was the second reboot. The third, and I'm talking only in the last couple of years alone. Third reboot, when they went live in 2012, that to me was the peak of TNA in the past couple of years. I thought TNA was untouchable in 2012 when they were going live every week. You had Storm on top, Bobby Roode on top. You had the fucking, you had all these great tag teams like Motor City Machine Gun, Samoa Joe, Magnus, Jeff Hardy. A lot of great things going on in TNA. And then, again, it just fell off a cliff. They just cannot maintain that momentum. In 2013, they started going on the road more and doing more live shows, and that's awesome. And that went also nowhere. And AJ Styles left, and they'll never let us forget about that. How many times on TV? I know Billy Corgan did it. I know Zeb Coulter, Dutch Mantell, recently did it on Thursday at the latest set of TNA tapings. He was like, oh, Bobby Roode and AJ Styles and Joe all left, and Kevin Nash and Christian, they all left the company, but we're going to make Impact great again. It's like, Imagine if Vince went on Raw one of these weeks and it was like, you know what? We lost all these great stars. We lost CM Punk. We lost all these other great stars in the past number of years, and they went to other companies. We fucked up, but it's time to make the WWE great again. They don't do that. They move on. They make new stars. And I'm not, praising WWE. We've seen this God knows how many times that the company, they do the exact same shit. They're all talk and no action. Not in every single instance. But a prime example would be the whole fucking Divas Revolution a few years ago. Oh, we're going to make Divas Wrestling great again. It was not Divas Wrestling. It was women's wrestling. And it was only when they finally shut the fuck up about it that the women's wrestling scene really started to shake up, get a shake up, and started to feel relevant and started to heat up with the, no 6-woman tag team matches and 9-woman tag team matches, all this other shit, when they weren't shoving down, that phrase, that real, that term Divas Revolution down our throats. When they started to let them wrestle and let the wrestling do the talking was when the women's wrestling scene really started to heat up in WWE. And it was great. And I loved it. And TNA's got to learn from that same formula. When they're like, we got to make Impact great again. It's like, how many times have we heard this? I feel like I have a sense of deja vu. And this is coming from a guy that was at their one of their other reboots 2 years ago, the Destination America taping, back in early 2015, which also went nowhere. They debuted the, God, they have so many fucking stables, it annoys me. TNA stables are the absolute worst. Their heel stables, other than maybe Main Event Mafia, Immortal was just cancer. Immortal sucked. Immortal was just not good. Had potential, it sucked. The DCC sucked. The other, not the Bullet Club. The Aces and Eights was probably the worst of them all. Now they got, spoiler alert, they have they have LAX back without Hernandez. I don't know how that happens, but they have LAX back with Conan, and oh my God, they're bringing back so many people. Del Rio, they bring him in for the Hardys. They let the Hardys go. The best thing about that product for so long, and you could say whatever you want about the whole Delete or Decay and Final Deletion. That was really what brought eyes back to TNA. That's what made TNA relevant last year, was the fucking Hardys. And I feel like not enough people are talking about the fact that Matt Hardy's been back with them for 3 years now. Jeff's been there for 7 years. That might be longer than any other stint he's had in WWE, like consistently. I think he was in TNA a lot longer than he was in WWE for any of the stints he had over there. That's crazy. That is crazy. He was there from 2010 until 2017. And he was a big part of that program. He was their hottest star for a long time. Really, their biggest household name. When Angle left and he retired and Sting left and AJ's gone, Rude's gone, Jeff Hardy stayed loyal. And it says a lot. It says a lot that he walked away because they fucked up contract negotiations. That says a lot. And now they're like, you know what? If you don't want creative, they wanted creative control reportedly. They wouldn't give it to him, so they let him walk. So apparently their lawyer was told, and this is all purely reporting at this point, pure speculation, but apparently the lawyer of the Hardys was told, if you want creative control, we're not going to give it to you here. You might as well just go back to WWE. And that's exactly what they're doing, apparently. According to Pro Wrestling Sheet, they're already in active negotiations with the WWE. And regardless of whether they're, regardless of whether they're going to be doing the broken characters or not, they're going to be making a lot more money over in WWE with merchandise and just being the Hardy Boys, regardless of whether they're broken or not. So much more money over there than they are in TNA. They don't need TNA. TNA needs them. TNA needed the Hardys, and they let him go. They let him go. Mike Bennett was a big star, and they let him go. Maria was one of the biggest parts of that Knockouts division, and they let her go. For who? Karen Jarrett? Karen Jarrett, the same woman that came up 5-6 years ago, literally calling the Knockouts whores and sluts, degrading the women every single week and telling them to strip down their bras and panties and telling them they're sluts. Yeah, let's bring back Karen Jarrett, everybody. Woohoo! Like, oh my God. Like, it really is like Shake My Head TNA. SMH, TNA. Really is what I've been doing for the past 24 hours. The notion they would bring back Bully Ray to put the world title on them made me shake my head. I love Bully Ray. Bully Ray was a great character. The guy, again, is 40-something years old. Been there, done that. He was a big star 4 years ago. They fucked him up too. He was a sinking ship when he left too. The fact that he took off and went over to WWE, and regardless of how they used him, he was way more relevant over in WWE than he was in TNA, just because of the platform that it is. That's just the way that it is, people. He was used a lot better over in TNA. I will, agree with you there. He had a great final run with Devon as one half of Team 3D. They had a fantastic final farewell in TNA. He came back for a few more shows to be like the GM or some shit like that. But it's like the fact they would bring in Bully Ray, like reportedly to beat Lashley for that belt. It's like, does this company ever learn? It's like there are hot stars out there they can bring in, but they gotta rely on Bully Ray. Like, that's sad, dude. Like, how Donald Trump tweets, sad, this is fake news, sad. Like, this is legitimately sad. Like, Matt Morgan, really? Like, you're gonna push him as a top star in 2017? Like, maybe, I really hope they prove me wrong, because, again, I was at that 2015 re-debut, reboot, whatever. They had a big reboot last year on Pop TV, and where did that go? Like, James Storm re-signed for TNA, with TNA for this? Like, really? I don't know. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. I just shake my head at all the shit they're doing. Like, Del Rio comes in, they put the belt on him night one. Night one, dude? Like, that's what was reported a couple years ago. When he first left the WWE the first time, they said, Dixie Carter wanted to bring him in and put the belt on him night one. That's exactly what they did. That's exactly what they just did on Thursday. They put the belt on him night fucking one. Apparently, they took the belt off him the next night because of the controversy, typical TNA overbooking. And WWE does the same thing, don't get me wrong, but it's like, what message does that send? That you put the belt on a guy who just showed up, who has no buzz around him at all. Like, Del Rio had buzz around him when he first left WWE in 2014. But after he was chewed up, like, the fact he went back to WWE killed any momentum, killed any relevance this guy had left. Any buzz around Del Rio in 2017 is not good buzz. Like, the stuff with Paige and the weird shit going on over there, and the stabbing, it's like, there's a lot of sketchy stuff going on with Del Rio right now. I don't know if I would want him in my company. He's not a good spokesperson. The guy was a hot star 5 years ago. He's well past, I'm not going to say he's past his prime. He could probably still have a very good, really, really good match. But it's like, again, I laughed. It's just the notion they would let the broken hearties go for Del Rio, dude. For fucking Del Rio. Like, it's, oh man, like, I'll be watching to see how this plays out. And again, the number one thing I've said, it's like the fact they're like, oh, we're going to make Impact great. Like, we're shit right now, but we're going to be better. I promise you, we're going to be better. And how many times have we heard this? And it's never any better. It only gets worse. Like, come on, TNA, get your shit together. Stop saying you're going to be better. Start fucking doing it. Start being better. Stop fucking telling me. Stop promising me. Stop promising you're going to be better. Just fucking be better. Just do it. Just fucking do it. I don't know what it's going to take anymore. You're going to bring back ODB? Oh, great. ODB, wonderful. They're not really debuting a lot of fresh talent. Like, they're bringing back people from the heydays of TNA. It's like you can't recreate that magic. The guys that made that company so good, guys like Austin Aries and Bobby Roode, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, you know what? You fucked them over, and now they left to go back to the other company, which also now has Sting in their Hall of Fame as an ambassador. They have Kurt Angle over there. The Dudley Boys went back there. Because you fucked these guys over in contract negotiations because you felt they weren't worth it. You're going to lowball AJ Styles, the greatest wrestler in the world today. You're going to lowball him on an offer so you can give all that money to fucking Del Rio? You're going to lowball the Broken Hardys, arguably the hottest act in wrestling right now, for fucking Del Rio, dude? Like, I really hope they prove me wrong. And Josh Matthews is another thing. Oh my God, the guy's fucking terrible. Josh Matthews is a cancer. The guy is a cancer to commentary. The guy is so fucking bad. And I was so happy to hear they were going to have a new commentary team. It's like, that's great. Maybe Jim Ross. Apparently Jim Ross has nothing to do with TNA, thank God. and he's just sticking over with New Japan. But apparently not. Josh Matthews is still on commentary. They took off the Pope for Jeremy Borash, and that's cool. Pope's all right. Not that good, but he's all right. Borash is great. But you put him on there with Matthews? Like, people fucking think this guy's awful. And it's not good heat either. It's like Michael Cole circa 2011 heat. Like, people just think this guy's fucking terrible. And it's like almost unbearable to watch the show. That's a large part of the reason why people do not watch TNA anymore. Or they watch it on mute. Because Matthews is just absolutely abysmal. The guy is a terrible commentator. And the fact he's going to chalk it up to being the greatest heel, the most hated heel in the company right now, brother, like, just take the guy off TV. Take him off TV. Bring back Don West or Mike Tenay. Mike Tenay he had a stench about him too. But it's like, you know what? At least he was, oh my God, I don't know. At least he was a better commentator than fucking Josh Matthews, who knows nothing about the product. Nothing. The guy thinks he knows everything. The guy sucks. And he's full of himself. He's a terrible human being, too. The guy's an asshole. I don't know if he's a bad human being, but he's a fucking asshole. Oh, and they apparently have him in a prominent role, the tapings. Again, maybe just from what I'm seeing, it sounds like a fucking train wreck. They brought back Suicide. Like, who cares? That character was never over. The character was nothing. They brought back Suicide, not even Manic. Not even Manic. Oh, by the way, the guy who's playing that character, where is he now? Oh, in WWE. Along with the half of your other cruiserweights like Tony Nese and Brian Kendrick. The guys you never really used right in the first place. And I know that, WWE does not use all their guys, right? Like Ethan Carter III, the former Derek Bateman, left WWE, got released, whatever. Reinvented himself. One of the true success stories in TNA, and I applaud them for that. But they are so far and few between. Drew Galloway could have been another guy who was reportedly the one to take the title from Lashley. He was supposed to, with the tapings on Thursday, which would have made no sense because he's a heel. And they already did that fucking angle a year ago. So how much sense that would have made, I have no idea. But it's like, oh my God. They just keep on just pulling the same shit. The same fucking shit. You're going to bring back ODB? Like, who cares? Who cares? Suicide? That character was awful. That character was terrible. Oh my. It's basically Jarrett's vision of what he wants GFW to be. And he's making it into TNA. And I know they're getting rid of the TNA initials and they're bringing in Bruce Pritchard. And again, this whole angle, just that Dutch Mantel promo in particular. Like, again, the guy has an amazing mind for wrestling. I know nothing. I'm a fucking mark. I agree. Like, I will flat out admit I'm a mark, a smark, whatever. But the fact he went out there, reportedly, like according to the spoiler reports and what I've heard, again, I got to see it play out on TV to really believe what I'm, seeing or hearing and reading right now. But it's like the fact he would go out there and say, we, the people, are going to make Impact great again, that almost made me vomit. Like, how many times have you said that shit? Like, how many times have you said we're going to make TNA great again? I promise you. I promise. For real this time. And it just hasn't happened. It hasn't happened. And if it hasn't happened now, when is it ever going to happen? Like, that's my question to you, TNA, my Impact, whatever. If you haven't fulfilled your promise of being great again in the past 10 years, when you promised us so many times in the past 9 years, is it ever going to happen? Just I don't know. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. Again, I promised you that it would not be. No, I'm making promises I can't fulfill, but I'm breaking promises here too. I said this would not be a rant. It was clearly a rant, so I apologize. The TNA diehards are gonna hate whatever. I don't really fucking care, but yeah, that's just my 2 cents on TNA right now. Let's talk TNA. It's what I'm gonna call this video. Let's talk TNA. Let's rant about TNA rather. Just watch the show, I guess. Watch the show. For Damian Sandow doing a Liberace gimmick in 2017, and not everything about the show is bad. Like Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards are good. I like Cody. Moose is good. They just have no star power. Del Rio is not the answer. Like, just if you want to start anew, bringing in a guy who has a stench about him, just a failure. Because the second they push the guy towards like the mid-card scene, he's gonna boot. He's gonna scram. He's gonna fucking leave because he wants to be in the world title picture, which is why they gave him the belt night one. We'll see where this goes. I'm just not a fan right now, as you can tell. We'll see where it goes. Watch Impact on Thursday. Pop TV to see the official reboot, replay of what we've seen for the past 10 years. Just TNA, just of the glory days, I guess, revisited. Just watch on Thursday. We'll talk about it then. So I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch you guys down the road.